Hello chess friends, this is FIDE Master Valeri Lilov, and in our lecture today I'm going to show you one very interesting variation, a trapline for black, with which you can surprise some of the hard Nimzo Indian players who are choosing to play queen to c2 at move forward and the so-called classical variation. So this variation starts with first move pawn to d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight to c3, and now the Nimzo Indian defense with bishop to b4. So after bishop to b4, our variation is with the forward queen to c2, and this is one of the most common lines in the Nimzo Indian defense. So after queens to c2, there are a couple of possibilities for black in this position, and one is to castle on the short side, another is to play c5, and one of the most popular is also to play d5. However, I think that one of the best options to face queen to c2 is now to play the move knight to c6. So this move has a couple of very interesting ideas, and for difference than the others with castle d5 for c5, this is not so popular, but still there are some very interesting ideas in it. So white continues now with knight to f3, the most logical move, simply protecting the pawn on d4, and now black continues with the move pawn to d5, which is a very interesting continuation in this position, and the main idea that black has is to use the development of the knight on c6 and get the opportunity to attack the black center immediately. So this is a kind of variation with pawns on e6, d5, and the bishop, the dark square bishop developed on b4, as well as the knight on c6, can be met in the Ragozin defense, in the Queen's Gambit declined, and it's a very interesting unorthodox system for black to play. And in the current situation we have a kind of a Ragozin type of position, and the black's main idea now is to get a very strong control on the center, and mainly on the central squares at e4 and e5. So instead of d5, another opportunity for black is d6, with the idea to close the center with some move like e5. This is also a good continuation, but our trap today is connected with the move pawn to d5. So after d5 now, well, what are the choices that white can do in this position? Well, one pretty good move, good looking move is bishop to g5, but it is not a good line actually, because black is having the way to play h6 now, and if white just drops back the bishop, then there is a threat of g5 in here, and after bishop to g3 there is g4 possible, and when the knight moves, then there will be knight takes d4 following, and white will simply lose the central pawn after queen d3 and knight to f5. So bishop to g5 seems to be a good looking move, but because of the h6 and g5 idea with g4 following, it is not so good to play. And instead of bishop g5, there is a move which seems to be quite logical in this position. This is the e3 move, and after e3 black could continue with the move short castle, and after the short castle a3 is possible, as well as some other moves, but a3 seems logical now, and after bishop takes c3, I think that black is getting very good chances in this position. Well, now if white continues with some move like b takes c, black will be able to continue with b6 and do one of the typical ideas in the Ragozin system. Now black's idea is to continue with the move bishop to e6, a6, and in case white plays a move like bishop to e2 after bishop a6, after the exchange now of the dark square bishops, and eventually e takes d, black will experience no problems, and he will get a very good play on the weak c4 and d4 light squares. And in case white avoids the exchange with some move like c takes d instead of bishop to e2, then e takes d is possible, and in case of bishop d3, bishop g4 seems to be a very nice opportunity to continue. And I think in any way black's position is very good because of the white's stupid dark square bishop on c1, which has no good perspectives to be activated soon. And in the same time, black could prepare in some moment to play knight a5 and c5, and or rook to e8 and knight e4, and I think the black's position is reasonably good at this moment. So it is if white continues with the move pawn to e3 after black goes with d5. So after d5, one of the most logical continuations in this position, and probably 90% of the players who doesn't know this trap and actually don't know exactly how to continue, will choose to go with the normal move pawn to a3. And this is a kind of a normal move which most of even the chess players with a stronger class would choose, because now the main point is to make this bishop to go somewhere. Of course, it will be a loss of tempo if black continues to drop back the bishop, and if he chose to continue with bishop takes c3, then queen takes c3 will follow with two bishops winning and a pair of bishops and a very good pawns on c4 and d4 controlling most of the most important central square. So queen takes c3, and white's position seems to be really good in this case, because now this knight on c6 is looking somehow bad on this position, because it prevents the usual c7 c5 blow in the center. So it makes the black's position a kind of a passive one. And after queen takes c3, now best move I can say is the move knight to e4, and as it looks that the black's position is with no really good perspectives, I can say that here there are very interesting ideas that black can promote. And that's why after knight to e4, white should continue with queen to c2, and here it comes the moment when black is promoting the move pawn to e5. A really interesting counter blow in the center in so early stage of the opening, but I can say that after this move black is experiencing no problems, and if white plays in the best way, black is able almost to equalize the game, having no problems at all. So e5 is a really interesting idea that black is able to promote in this case. And now the main point is, if white takes on e5,